area. So if you see something like that, you see a free surface. I can see connective tissue over here, basal membrane, free surface. I've got to first of all identify the tissue. What is the tissue? It's stratified something. Does that look like stratified columnar? Or do you see columnar and other types of nuclear shapes? What do you see?
We don't know.
It looks like it's kind of columnar. That looks like it's cuboidal, 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 cuboidal. Down here, columnar, columnar, columnar. So when you see tissue that's stratified and has columnar and cuboidal in it, it can only be one tissue.
Transitional.
Transitional. So if this is transitional, ID organ.
Bladder. Urinary.
Bladder. It's not going to be the urethra or the ureters because this is huge. You'd only see a small area for the ureters or the urethra. So this is the bladder. ID organ, bladder, ID tissue would be transitional. It could also, I don't think he's done this before, but he could, if he can get far enough away here. Nah, can't do it. I was thinking he could actually ask you about the detrusor muscle. We can't get that far away. All right, so that's bladder, urinary bladder. Oh, what is this? Oh, this one I don't think you've seen either, but the students were looking at it quite frequently over the weekend. Yeah, let me kind of back off here. This one is a little different, and let me bring it up to where you can get a better view. Okay. So you can actually have something like this.
Nice.
What in the world is
Now,
that?
you know that there's an open area, so part of it, this portion has to be epithelial somehow. Okay? Does that look familiar to anybody this far away?
Ceiling.
What?
Ceiling, no?
Yes, yes, yes.
So here's the
What's
base
that?
of membrane right there, and there's the apex, and on top has a little cilia. So what do you think this is?
Was that the
Oh,
large
that's good.
intestine?
This is PSCC. And this is the nasal mucosa. Let me show you some other areas here that kind of give you down here, there. This PSCC lines the entire nasal mucosa through here. Here's a nasal opening. These are actually part of the turbinates and the concha that are in the nasal mucosa. And this is part of the septum. See the cartilage in there? What kind of cartilage should be in there? Elastic cartilage. That's what makes up the part of this, some of the nasal septum. So when you see something that, because when we see PSCC, we think about, well, you know, what is that? It could be in the, what? It could be in the bronchi, it could be in the trachea, but the shape is not trachea. I will show you the trachea in just a minute, show you the major differences. See how regular this shape is? You see PSCC and it has an irregular shape, it's always going to be the nasal mucosa. So instead of looking at that, I'll show you. Very good. There it is. Where else do you see PSCC? What other structure?
Trachea.
In the trachea, exactly. So when we go into trachea, where is the trachea? Whenever you see the trachea, you're going to see it's always going to be a, what we call a bow or a lazy C shape. You're always going to see kind of a bow to it.
Trachea.
All right, now you can't see it well here, but I can still see, here's this typical PSCC, and this is what kind of cartilage? Trachea. What kind of cartilage?
Is it hyaline?
Hyaline cartilage. Now you can't tell by looking at that, so remember, if you see hyaline and PSCC, in case, let's say he blows it up a little bit, and we drop it down like this, and he shows you something like this, you can kind of see these are a little lacunae, so you know it's cartilage, and you see the PSCC. Always think trachea. Hyaline, trachea, PSCC, and a slight little curve, a little bow to it. All right? Is everybody good? That make sense? All right. Somebody fall asleep back there? One more on the respiratory while we're here. Where'd it go? There it is. All right. Whenever you see this, what's the first thing you need to think of?
Epiglottis.
The only place that has elastic cartilage.
Yay.
And they will not show you that
I will get
front.
this one right. I know it.
4 points.
So we good on that? Everybody knows that one? All right. By the way, they usually put that in, so that's usually a good score for you
Sweet.
guys.
Guaranteed.
Okay, let's look at the stomach real quick. I want to show you that. I want to show you how the
Gastric
stomach is a
pits.
little different than. Now, see how the stomach, even though, let me kind of give you. There. Even though you can see the deep gastric pits in here, like these structures in here, these are deep, but it's fairly level all the way across for deep gastric pits. So it's not this elongated like the small intestine where you have the microvilli. They have some microvilli, but most of it just inside the gastric pit. So you've got, what do you have here? By the way, you can see, ooh, let me see if you can get all of these.
On the muscle.
No, can't see all of them, unfortunately, not on that angle. How about up here? Whoa, we're getting close. Well, I can't imagine trying to fit all that in, but
Ooh.
can you see the 3 layers?
Yep.
So you have 1 layer here, 1 layer there, and 1 layer here. And this is what?
What's what? What are we pointing to?
So if this is a mucosa, what's that? Very, yeah, this is a muscularis mucosa, very small mucosal area, and then mostly all muscles because of the job of the stomach. So you know this is going to be stomach because there's not this huge plique separation. Oops, wrong way. And you end up with, now he could show you maybe a little more detail where you can actually see the gastric pits significantly. And the key with this is, see how these are all attached? And here are these deep gastric pits, come all the way down like that. No other tissue inside the digestive tract looks like that. So remember that it's kind of a flat surface with deep, significant gastric pits all the way down there. And what's secreted in the deep gastric pits? 2 types of cells, chief and parietal cells. What do they secrete? Hydrochloric acid and
Rubin.
pepsinogen.
Pepsin. Oh, damn it.
Who's got this strobe light?
I'm sorry.
All right, so remember, this is going to be, whether they show you the fundus or the antrum of the body, it kind of all looks like that. So remember, there's not a lot of variation in that. Where is the other ones? Let's jump down to the small intestine. Okay. Let's go all the way over here first.
Okay.
Okay, so what are we looking for here? We're looking for plique.
Okay.
See how those are extended, very long, they're not attached on the top, they're open all the way down. And so what do we call these? The crypts of what? Crypts of lubricini? Crypts of lubricant, yeah. And if you stretch it, let me see here, hold on. Let's keep looking and see if it comes in anything. Let's go over this side over here. Go down, 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 down. So far, are we looking at anything? We don't see anything unusual. Everybody getting dizzy?
Yes.
Gonna go up. Now, what are we missing on here that I'm trying to look for? There's no Peyer's patches. But can we see the different layers? Let's see if we get a, okay, here we go. So if we go right over here, and I come up this way a little bit, yes. So you can see all 4 layers. Can you see where they are?
Focus that a little more.
Let me go over here a little bit more. Well, no, you can't. So, cirrhosis on the outside, which you can see, right there. Then you have the muscularis mucosa, and once you start going up, you have the submucosa, and then you have the mucosa. Now, let's look. Where's the one I was looking for here? It's not here.